Hey everyone, this is Dr. Coach K, and today we're working on the opportunities to be infinite and immortal through healing thyself. And I usually do this through the Game Changers Curriculum Championship. This is also a segment for the game curriculum, the Game Changers Championship curriculum, and the Game Changers curriculum. This program allows me to be a virtual professor, a virtual scientist, and to allow me to interact with the global community to talk about global affairs that happens to the body internally, externally, and in the environment. I sometimes talk about the mass incarceration, the prison institution. I talk about the disparities in wealth, digital technology, education, as well as lifestyle, which includes community building, equality, mathematics, infinite mathematics, and so forth. This all entails to the variables and elements, or we call sometimes ingredients, that allows us to be successful in our daily lives as a recipe, or fail in the things that we try to be successful with. So let me begin. I have been working on how to manage my goals and vision and mission and cause, because there's so much that I do, and to keep it managed with my time and with my interactions with my people, my communities, and my world. I tend to seem to look like I'm juggling all the time. But multitasking is something I try to do when I'm on my downtime. But when I'm interacting with one person or one subject, I try to give it my 100% attention. So what I wanted to do is bring in our session today of inspiration and affirmations and confirmation to warm us up. So I'm going to use random selection to get inspiration for today. I love using numbers, mathematical, to trigger. Some people don't like the word trigger, but to bring up some of the past, the present, and the future as a projections, because our past we can learn from it, and our future can be a glimpse of a potential, and our present is where we do the business, the work. So I'm going to pull one number out of random selection to help inspire me and give me an affirmation for today. So the number we pulled up today is number 7, and it's going to be a queen, 2, another queen, and while I sit here and meditate and pray for guidance and direction in my spirituality, in my faith-based organization, I am looking into my soul to see if I can pull together a message, and this is the message. So we have today an opportunity to be women of leaders, personally and professionally. Our perfection relies in our money, our profession, our convictions, our faith, and the way we handle ourselves internally first, and then externally as a manifestation of our lifestyle internally. I always talk about our internal world and our internal self and our internal conduct and behavior, because it creates a manifestation of our future. This is a spirit walk. When we do this type of lifestyle, live from within, people say, oh, if you think first before you speak, this is that kind of notion. This is that kind of energy. We have opportunities to be in duality with our life partners as women leaders. We have an opportunity to work with our teams, being leaders of leadership. We want to remember our team is not subordinates. They're not incompetent. They're leaders as well. They're performing on the level of their skill base, of their consistency, of their practice makes perfect, good technique, how they're raised, how their desires formulate, and those things happen like athleticism in our daily lives, how much commitment we are on working on ourselves to be the best performance daily with consistency. So I understand that some people may call their teams insubordinates and incompetent. Yeah, you can go through some anger management issues or upset and frustrated, because I know I go through that as well when I interact with government, when I interact with businesses, when I interact with corporations. I want to run to calling incompetency card in the subordination card, because I know we can do better. And the reason why I know we can do better is because when you go to work every single day, 8 to 10 to 16 hours a day, you are practicing like an athlete. Athlete practices 2 to 6 hours a day, and the Olympians practice like a lifestyle. So they practice more than that. Like it is a 10-hour, 16-hour shift for Olympians and professional athletes that get paid to live a lifestyle of performance. And so if these entertainers can do that as actors and actresses and athletes, we should be able to do that in the government level, in the corporate level, in the day-to-day basis level, in our education system, in our hospitals. So what separates the athleticism of professional athletes that get paid millions of dollars, that do excellent work in entertainment performance, versus day-to-day medical doctors, day-to-day government officials, politicians, and day-to-day secretaries that answers the phones? What is the division? What is the dividing line? Is the poor quality, consistency, the poor quality accountability, the poor quality social responsibility, the poor quality of care ethics, the poor quality of human interaction, because it's not a need or a demand in our business system, in our what we call governance. What we're going to do for our future. Well, I know with prophecy, which is the prognosis, that we get to glimpse in the future by the verses that we read. And it says the wicked will be more wicked and the righteous will be more righteous, which means there is a world right now that's going to be excellent in their behavior, excellent in their conduct, excellent in their care ethics, and excellent in their performance, like we see in entertainers that are professional athletes, professional actors and actresses that perform on an excellent level. We can include comedians. We can include certain basic professions like the entry levels that is ground level, right? Production workers. We can include the laborers. They are performing on an excellent level, because this world could not be productive without that excellence. But then we have that invisible society that do not perform on excellence, and then things are on poor quality. And we can see the errors, we can see the what we call shortcomings, and we cannot be the judges and evaluators or auditors for this level of invisible societies, because they are considered as authorities. They're considered as the leaders that do not take constructive criticism well at all. And so we don't have someone higher than our authorities to be the accountability partner. They don't have the mentors to make them accountable because most of their mentors are increasing the poor quality gestures and advice because they do not themselves have accountability partners like the production labor dues or the laborers or the slaves or those that are excellent in their performance because of the love of their craft. So we have to remember that when we interact with these organizations. I tend to see them as teams because when I talk about insubordination and incompetency, subordination and incompetency, they tend to get upset with me because they're looking at me like we're serving you. Well, this is why I talk about these business ethics, these social issues in my Heal Thyself, because when you have an internal world lifestyle of excellence, you want to bring your world up and not bring them down, but they don't understand that. I remember one of the letters I've written to the government. I said, look, the taxpayers blessed the world with their taxes by putting in programs like the welfare system, like the education system. And when you have people that basically reap off of those taxes, they should show some level of excellence, which it means care ethics. So there should be a level of appreciation for, the world that are paying taxes because they're generating wealth for the low income in regards to teaching education without a price, without a cost, right? Because there's a lot of sliding scale fees that is given through the programs, through the taxes of the populations that do tax, right? Well, the corporations also reap off of this as well. They send their students through college through these taxes based on giving them opportunities to have tax breaks, right? Or tax credits, or having the poor or the working class pay for the heavy lifting of taking care as a parent, the society at large, making decisions in their voting rights. But the wealthy, the thing about talking and critiquing the wealthy is a hoarding factor. The hoarding factor is the control and the way they shift the economies based on their consumerism. There's different consumerisms. There's a poor class system, that consumerism of different types of marketing or target approach. What does that mean? Well, they have different behavior. When poor have to spend money, they are doing survival because they're not giving access to resources to do actualization or transformation, like some of the wealthy class are able to do, or the working class. So they spend 90 to 95% of their resources to survive. That is food, shelter, and clothing, or to do the civility work, which is transportation, digital communications, right? These are the basic things in our society at this point. They may do some leisure, some luxury, but on a poor class level, which means light on traveling, light on interacting with the government, because the government usually demonize or criminalize their efforts to interact with them. Right, so we have to look at all these levels of interaction based on resources and how much resources are allowed to be hoarded on a poverty-stricken level. And so they're not able to hoard, or what we call savings or investments, or trying to preserve their resources. They have limited opportunities to do this. So they have different ways of what we call cognitive behavior, the thinking process. So in this inspirational message, we see the struggle. We see the opposition personally. It's a personal attack of who different classes are. You know, they try to advance and they get pushed back professionally or financially or resourcefully, right? But this is where we see the masculinity in our society, which we call the patriarchal society, where we see the inability to provide. So we have a society with a system that do not provide, do not protect, and they're not a parent. They're not trying to be a guardian for all communities, all classes. They're not trying to protect the poor. They're not trying to protect the working class families. And to be honest, they're not even trying to protect the wealthy. That's why the wealthy hoards their money and their resources, because they know they can fall into disparities. It's like a slippery slope. And a lot of wealthy are afraid. They live a fearful life of survival. You know, you fight and flight type of shark or attitude or predatory type of behavior because they are trying to survive. Even if they have the luxury and the leisure and the power and the privilege and authority, they're always looking over their shoulders to make sure they don't fall into losing everything by choices of death, being killed, or disease, or hoarding, theft, you know, people robbing them, or careless behavior like drugs and overdoses as such. These are the realities of all three classes. You know, if you look at history, most dictators lived a very short life span, not because they didn't have all the power in the world, because they were killing people every day, but because they had the lack of resources mentally, emotionally, and physically, that they had been killed because everybody wanted what they had. They were not poor, so that means they weren't unprotected. They were very protected, but they always had to look over their shoulder because everybody wanted to knock them off. It was a competitive world for them to stay alive, to stay protected, in their attitude to be a dictator, to not be a provider, not be a protector, or not to be a nourisher or a nurturer or nourisher. They saw very short days. They lived a short life. Their body was not developed or designed to be a wicked. We are created by a loving, beneficial God. So our ancestors were not made and designed and developed like who we are saying our price tag or our brand on our bodies, like you say, a car. Our bodies were not made, so like cars weren't made to do certain things. Our bodies were not made to be dictators. They weren't made to be irresponsible, careless, and reckless, because our bodies are like fragile. It's very fragile, more fragile than grass. So we have to remember that these bodies have a certain purpose and design for this life. These bodies was created like trees, the bodies of trees, to meditate, to pray, to worship, to be still and be quiet and know God is God type of lifestyle. It wasn't ready to go, and we call it run off the course with the wheels falling off. Even though we have that freedom and we have that free will, we have to be wise and understanding, know how to get the best out of our bodies and the way it was made. It's not made in China. It was made by the infinite hands of God. So with that said, we do work this all out for the good of those that love the Lord. We do work all these things out, and we do find our completion, it is finished type of behavior. The author of our faith, author of our books, we do find that prosperity. We're not designed to be destroyed. We're designed to prosper, which means we are designed to have a covenant with God so that we will never perish. And that is a process, a development journey of decision making and trial by errors. So now let me do a little segment. I like to end it with reading from the Prosperous Soul, and then we'll do another inspirational message to end in an affirmation. If we have time, today's question to be answered is name one thing you like about yourself. Okay, so let's do The Prosperous Soul by Cindy Trimm. We are on page 32, paragraph 2. What this means for most of us is that the joy and happiness we want out of life, the fulfillment that comes from discovering purpose and walking it out, is to be mined from the soul more than sought from the outside world. What starts within leads to outside action. The prosperity of the soul emerges as an abundance others will see. While outside circumstances can sometimes pave the way to success, more often than not, it is the overcoming of them with integrity, inner strength, insight, and wisdom that leads to lasting blessings. Do you have a dream? Is there some burning desire you want to make a reality? Is there some issue in the world that tears at your heart every time you think about it? Those are clues to the dream and destiny God has planted inside of you. What will you do with them? Are you going to nurture them in the incubator of a prosperous soul? Even when everything on the outside may be handing you hardship and setbacks, just as it did Joseph, will you keep prospering on the inside until that steady preparation meets a sudden opportunity for you to change your world? By picking up this book and recognizing that God is calling you to do something great, you are drawing a line in the sand. There are going to be battles ahead. There are going to be stumbling blocks and difficulties. There are going to be times you get discouraged and wonder if your dreams were more fantasy than prophecy. And although what God has put in your heart may seem difficult to accomplish, the pursuit of it is what makes life rich. There is no more meaningful adventure than the one He has called you to, no greater treasure than one He has hidden within your soul. Your all-access pass to the good life, the abundant life, is through the prosperity of your soul. It is what is inside of you, what you bring forth out of your heart, that determines the course of your life. In the upcoming chapters, we will look at the various aspects of the soul, how to make each of them grow and flourish, and then learn how to enjoy the fruit of what comes forth from your heart. We will investigate what true riches are and learn how to cultivate them. We will look at what it means to prosper in each of the key realms of life and how to cultivate that abundance in your heart and nurture it out of your soul. We will learn about wholeness and reunifying the fragments of your life to live out what God has called you to do in every area. This book has been designed, as are the other books in this series, to be used as an 8-week, 40-day study. Each week is divided into 5 days that explore the fundamental practice of prospering your soul. They are laid out so that you can read them on your own. Do them as part of the weekly Bible study or Sunday school class, or just pick the book up, open it to a practice you need to undergird and start prospering your soul. Are you ready to begin digging for treasure? A single day spent doing things which fail to nourish the soul is a day stolen, mutilated, and discarded in the gutter of destiny. Michael Faber. So we have finished the introduction of this book, and now we're going to begin a fundamental change of heart, part 1, and this is on page 35 for those that are doing the book club with me and the curriculum with me. And this is the classroom session and coaching session and mentorship session, and the spiritual advising session is 1. Chapter 1, the heart of the matter. So we're going to read the quote. It is to be, it is up to me, by William Johnson, and James 1:23-24. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. For he observes himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. So we're going to close it down after we did the warm-up and workout of this session. We're going to answer the question, name one of the things you like about yourself. The one thing I like about myself is I am relentless, I am determined and committed into showing up, being present, being attentive. So what about you? So now we're going to grab an affirmation. That was a strong affirmation from Cindy Trimm today about our destiny, our dreams, and how we can fulfill them in our daily lives. Spending time and investing in them is the internal relationship we have with our Creator, and how we are building an internal lifestyle daily so that our manifestation of our external life can be aligned with mind over matter instead of matter over mind. Here's the last affirmation for today. The grass withers and the flowers fail, but the word of our God stands forever. Isaiah 48, verse 8. So what does that mean? What comes to my spirit is that we may transform, we may change, but the interaction we have with our Creator from within, the conversations we have from within, the things we learn from from the mentorship, from our relationship from our Creator, all of these memories and situations, 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 of 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 memories and situations,